there were two assumptions made there that I didn't really say anything about. The first one is that you're not going to have any input in the men that you're vetting. I never said that. What I'm saying is that you should 100% only introduce that guy when you're unsure if he's husband material or not. So your vetting process doesn't change. The only thing that changes is we're going to use the tools that we already have available to us. And again, the chances of you being able to coach that guy through the vetting process from a patriarch, that's going to, remember, it's not just a one-time thing. It's going to be over several months. So you're not going to be able to give him all the answers to questions that may not come up. I mean, if we're talking about a 4 to 6 month period, how would you be able to coach him through that whole thing? That would be kind of
I think that's kind of weird too, enough. Like that's a lot. Like you're trying to cheat.
No, hang on. Let's live in like the real world and not the ideal world for just like a quick second, right? Because like again, I'm someone who grew up with my father. I know exactly how he moves. I know exactly how he functions. This is the only marriage he's been in. I know how he thinks. I know how he moves. I also know how he's raised me. I also know what his aspirations are for me. If you think I can't coach a man over a 4-month period, I'm telling you, my father was an absolute failure if I can't coach a man over a 4-month period on how to answer my father. I know that man through and through of what he's looking for, of how he's vetting, about like what his values are, all of this stuff. I need y'all to like literally give women just a little bit more credit.
It's not you. I'm not giving credit to. I'm talking about him.
Because here's what I'm getting.
Screw up.
No, here's what I'm getting at, right? Like, because I said this earlier in this podcast, right? When men have set a finish line for themselves, they will do whatever it takes, regardless of what it is, to cross that finish line for themselves. That doesn't necessarily mean for you. It doesn't necessarily mean for their purpose. It doesn't mean for themselves, right? Because that's really like the thing. You can't tell a man what to do. You can't tell a man how to be a man. You can't tell him how to move. You can't tell. But if he's decided this is the finish line I want to cross, he will heed your counsel, right? Like, let's be totally honest with that, because nobody knows, as a woman, nobody knows your father more than you as his daughter, as his possession, as a part of his legacy, as a part of like the extension that he's going to be to that. A man will heed your counsel. If you think a man will not heed your counsel over the period of 4, 6 months, a year, men have held out for longer because they've decided that that's the finish line that they want to cross. I don't know why we're pretending like men can't move the way that they want to move when they've decided that like that's how they want to move.
I think we have. We're just impressed that you've gone out your way to train this guy for months.
Are we honestly pretending that like women are not going to do what it takes to like see it through the finish line for a man that they want? Are we like we talked about Derek Jackson's wife studying sex?
I just feel like it doesn't matter. I just feel like this. People are unpredictable. I think it doesn't matter how much you coach somebody. Your dad can throw a curveball in there. It's got to be something. You can't think of every single. I mean, you're sitting here having a conversation. You think of every conversation your dad could possibly, after he's seen this guy for months.
Yep.
Like everything that your dad.
I think she could do it.
That's not normal.
Sometimes it's not about the conversation either. Sometimes it's just watching how the person moves.
Like Marcus was saying, it just took that one time when he was able to see something, and just same thing that Trigger Mike said was something that they did. It wasn't expected. It was just something that it just threw them off a little bit. It's like that
Give me 1 second. I have 2 very clear and distinct points that will address all of this. 1, nobody understands men more than men, which means that nobody will excuse men's behavior more than men, right? Whether that man is at fault, whether that man is moving immaturely, men understand that because they have been men their whole lives. They know a man who needs guidance versus a man who needs mentorship versus a man who's like totally like taking the fun, right? Men understand that amongst each other. Us women, we don't really know how to read those signals the same way that men do. But the one thing I know as a woman is that men get men, which also means if a man, like in a woman's perspective, if a man is not ready, it is very different than a man's perspective if a man's not ready. A man will look at that and be like, listen, maybe I need to give him a little more guidance. I need to give him a little bit more boundaries. I need to give him a little bit more something to do right by my daughter. Women don't look at it the same. And I think that's really like the key point. Women don't look at men the way that men look at men.
So
the second point to that, hang on, let me land. There's a second point to that, right? There is no way, and I'm saying this truly, honestly, and as transparently as I can. There is no way that you grew up as a father, like with a father, where you don't know how to have that man wrapped around your finger. As a daughter who grew up with a man her whole life, you know exactly what questions that man is going to ask. You know exactly what he's looking for. You know exactly how he wants his daughter to be treated. You know exactly what questions he's going to ask that man. That you are not in a position to prepare another man to face your father. There's no way. There's no way. If your father came in later in your life or he's like partially active or whatever, okay, cool, I get it. But if you've grown up with that man in your household day in, day out, your entire life, there's no way you can't prepare another man to face him. There's no way. I refuse to believe it.
So let me say this. I think you can absolutely finesse the system and all of that stuff. But you cheating yourself when you do that because the test is for your good. And my next thing is Bruiser. Is this Bruiser?
That's not Bruiser.
Oh, y'all just got the same name?
That's Bruiser. But let's not go out of order. Baron was first, and then we go to Bruiser.
I want to jump in real quick before we move on to Baron. Let me say something real quick to Nas before we
That's Bruiser's chair.
That's not Bruiser.
Who are you and what you talking with Bruiser?
That's not Bruiser.
That is Bruiser.
Y'all I can care less. Whoever he is, he's going after Baron.
You muted, bro.
Hold on. I just want to.
Bruiser's mannerisms, man. You explain yourself. Who are you?
Y'all, come on. Y'all know it's almost my nap time. Y'all know it's almost my bedtime.
You got to unmute yourself, bro.
Hold on.
This is Bruiser's brother. This is Bruiser's brother. So
hold on.
Listen. This is Bruiser's.
He even sound like Bruiser.
Hold on. Bruiser, hold on. Bruiser, hold on. I just want to make say something real quick to kind of counter what Inaz is talking about before we move on to Baron, because you're after Baron, Bruiser. So you are right. The daughter can kind of try to finesse the system, but this is what you're missing. As you guys know, my daughter actually the guy has to come here, right? That's step one. Step two, that she didn't see coming, I invited the young man out to eat. Just me and him sitting down having a conversation. Okay, so you could coach him through those two things, but I was looking for something else very specific when I took him to go play basketball. I was looking for something very specific that she would have no idea of what I am looking for out of the young man. So I understand what you're saying.
Can I get
But men, as you eloquently put it, men understand men.
Can I guess
so
what you was looking for?
when I put him in a situation, there's certain responses I'm really looking for. When, especially in a competitive sporting event, yeah. But I found out more about him when I brought his guard down and put him in a situation to where he couldn't think about the conversation necessarily that we would have, or how he would, or alter his response because I'm there, because it was something very specific. Anyway, I understand what you're saying and I kind of agree, but when you got somebody that's involved and that's paying attention to the details, he's not gonna be able to pull the wool over. Because if he's perfect, we're gonna keep going at him until we find the dent.
real fast.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you.
She's saying is she just knows her father's personality. And maybe that's how you would dig a little deeper. But I think that what she's saying is she knows, if I'm not mistaken, she knows how he is. He's been this way with all of her relationship. He's pretty by the, he has a script that he goes by, and she knows that about her dad. And obviously she's done it before and it's worked. That's why she knows this script.